10 o'clock. I filibustered right to 10 o'clock. Now it's time to catch up with Kacey D. And we find out where Kacey D be and find out where she is on the planet. And we're going to go over everything that happened on her road trip. She had a busy road trip. She was in Salt Lake City in the Mountain Time Zone. Did you see?
Good morning.
Morning. You saw both games, didn't you?
I did. Yes. It was a good trip. It was nice and full and busy.
Yeah. And so we saw, I do want to talk about the NWSL game that you saw at the end of things and any kind of early thoughts you have about Chicago specifically and Utah as they're kind of trying to grow and turn the page. But, where's Owen, by the way?
Right below me, laying down.
Mm-hmm. So he's like, Mommy's home, and I'm making sure that she does not leave anytime soon.
Exactly.
Yeah, Rowdy Man is here in his bed. He's like literally right there. So
that's the spot.
That's
where you're supposed to be.
Ignoring all of the conversations. You're talking too loudly, and I'm over it. So you've got to focus on not talking so loud. The second match that you watched this weekend when you were in Rio Tinto had to do with Sporting Kansas City and with the homestanding Real Salt Lake folks. Was this your first time calling a game at the Riot?
It was. Yeah, first time there.
What'd you think of the vibe out there?
I loved it. I have not been to Salt Lake City in a very long time. I actually don't even remember the last time I was there in general. It was a long time ago. I think it was when I was coaching maybe the University of Oklahoma. We played Utah or something and went out there. So it's been a long time. But it was a great vibe. I loved the stadium. I loved some of the decor of the stadium. I thought it was a lot of fun. The banners that are up, all the players on the doors, and of course the field and the backdrop is unbelievable. So it made for a nice day.
No doubt. And it was a nice day for the home side. And I want to walk through all the goals eventually just to get your thoughts on it. But Atlanta United fans got to see RSL early this year. And there were a lot of injuries with RSL at the time for Pablo Mastroeni, and he was kind of forced to use a lot of the young kids. But those young kids, you sit there and you say he was forced to use them. They are showing up this season on the right-hand side of the attack and causing problems for a lot of folks here early in 26.
What we're seeing is that they're given an opportunity, it went well, and what can come from that, the confidence that can come from that, and the quality that those players do actually have. It wasn't something that was just a blip or, it was exciting because they got their first opportunity, so they showed up. You're actually seeing the real quality that they possess and how they can really stimulate the attack.
And you mentioned one of them. One of them has been injured, and he came back. And this Diego Luna guy, he's okay. I think that he's okay, and he's going to be. He better be getting a lot more consideration for national team minutes when he is healthy. But yeah, you want to talk about somebody who's creating problems and is blowing up a whole lot of stereotypes. Well, he's too short. He's too this. He's too that. Yeah, whatever. Diego Luna is a stud.
When you mention the young guys, I don't even put him in that category in my mind. I forget he's 22 years old, but Diego Luna is such a vibe. When you're around him, I got to go to training the day before, which was awesome, but he just has this air about him, having fun, but confident. And he kind of reminds me, honestly, of how Trinity Rodman is. It's this fun vibe, but they're competitive. They take it serious. They want to get after it. They want to be difference makers, but they show their personality and it works for them. I really like that about Diego Luna. And I hadn't seen it in person. I hadn't seen it up close. And to be able to see it in training and then to watch him impact in the game, he obviously got the goal, but he was so much more than that. As you mentioned, off the right side, that right 10 position, helping stimulate the attack there.
All right, so you mentioned the goal, so we'll go ahead and play it. Courtesy of our friends at Apple TV and Major League Soccer, you'll recognize one of the two voices. The other one's Christian Miles, and the other one is that person right there. So here's goal number one, wasting no time. I think it was in the 4th minute. RSL goes up 1-0.
Operating the right-hand side of that back three. It's worked its way to Gozal. Well kept in and swept to safety. Possession, though, all too short-lived for SKC's liking. Push forward now, and here they come once again. It's Luna! He's back! And so, RSL
this breaking line pass from Noel Kalaskan that sets everything up. The space in front as Luna takes on. The back line drops immediately when they see how quick he is off the dribble. When they drop, he realizes that it's now time to go from distance. He keeps it low. He comes through it with pace, sneaks it right into the corner for the goal.
And he does that. And you mentioned the buildup there, just for the record. Technically listed as a 5-4-1 for RSL. Was it a 5-4-1 in the attack?
No, it was a 3-4-3 was what we had it listed as. So, but no, they had a lot of numbers forward, and they, in like the three that were like up top, it was really Gilavogi and Luna tucked in almost to create this box in midfield. So it was hard to defend against.
Yeah, you talked to Sporting Kansas City about how hard it was to defend this bunch, and it was Cabral and net. It was Engelglad and Quentin, your three center backs, Catranis, Gozo, Luna, Kalaskan, Spearings, Gilavogi, Solons, all heading forward at one point or another for Pablo Mastroeni. 1-0 at that point. When you looked at the Luna goal, and now that you've had time to think about it, what were some of the catalysts that you got to see in that play for RSL?
There was so much in this, but immediately it was winning the ball back right away. Then it was Kalaskan, who I am becoming a huge fan of. He plays it forward to break a line, so it eliminates multiple defenders. That gives Luna a lot of space. Then there's movement above Luna that is going beyond him, so the back line has to respect that. That's what I was really referring to when they had to retreat a little bit. So he had ability off the dribble to go 1v1 at Bartlow and just create that yard of space for a left-footed strike. So what I really like about this goal and what I like about the play of RSL is that you have a back three that's really solid, but you've also got Spearings and Kalaskan in the midfield that hold it down, make really smart, simple decisions. That allows your wingbacks and the players above you to feel free to go forward, and it occupies the back line of the opposition. So this goal, it was a great strike. It was good for Diego Luna. It was good for RSL that he got on the board, but it speaks to something bigger with the way that they play.
And it was interesting when you see Luna with possession as he's kind of working his way to the left. Literally, you see the space that is given to him by the backline of Sporting. They gave him another yard or two as he had possession and was bailing out to the left. I think it was Bartlow. Bartlow's trying to respect him, but at the same time, it's like, I need to try to give him space to figure out what he's doing. But he left his right shoulder wide open, and that gave Luna that alley to sit there and try to create the shot that eventually went in past Pulskamp.
So often from a 1v1 defending perspective, you would rather give a little bit of space than to go so aggressively that they beat you and get into a better position, whether it's closer, a better angle. But once a player is in striking distance of the goal, and that depends on the player, how far out that is, someone has to be tight enough to be able to block a shot. And Bartlow just gave a little bit too much time, a little bit too much respect, to your point. And it was 19 yards out, 20 yards out. Anyone at that level can strike and shoot from there. So that pressure has to be higher. The back line was very condensed into their own penalty box. That happened because of the immediate pass of Kalaskan. If he had taken 2 or 3 touches and then gone sideways and then they found Luna, they would have been able to organize better behind the ball. And they weren't able to because of the speed of play.
Yeah, and it was 1-0 at the break. What did you think about the first 45 on the whole that RSL only had the 1 goal on the board?
I thought, this is not good, because you've got Manu Garcia, you've got Dejan Joveljic on the opposite side. They don't need a whole lot to create a goal. And Real Salt Lake was so incredibly dominant that if I'm a coach, I'm sitting there going, we got to put some of those away. They hit 2 crossbars. And it wasn't like it was bad finishing. It just was, it was like there was this force field around it, to be honest. But the play was so great. A lot of times teams don't replicate that kind of dominant play in the second half. So I was a little bit worried for them, giving Sporting Kansas City the chance to solve some things tactically. But credit to Salt Lake, even though Kansas City got a little bit better, they were still able to figure out how to have that dominant play in the second half.
Okay, when we finish the highlights, I want to talk about the force field. and just kind of like the whole schleprock thing where all you're doing is hitting crossbars and posts and nothing's happening, and you're trying and you're like 120% and nothing's happening. I want to go through that mentally. I want to put the coach's hat on for that aspect of it when we're done with the highlights.
Sounds good.
1-0 at the break. Then you end up with goal number 2 and another one of these young troublemakers. You young kids, if it's like a Scooby-Doo episode, you young kids. And it ends up with Solans getting the second goal here in the 55th, I believe. Once again, courtesy of our friends at Apple TV, and you'll hear some familiar voices.
Stylistic touchdown opens up. Gossel twisting and turning. Plays it on. Solans! Spanish style! Solega soaring. It's 2-0.
This is all in a long direct build-up. Great interchange in midfield. Gila Vogie plays this ball on. The run in behind by Gozo. Gila Vogie's run at the top of your screen. It distracts, and that allows Solans to be open. Solans goes right at the standing leg. But look at the creativity in midfield. Gozo forces him to make a decision, comes back inside. Solans goes at the standing leg of Jansen Miller, and then comes inside as a defender. You don't want to allow that cut in because now he has more angle to go to goal and is able to beat Pulskamp.
I had to let the song play out. That song just it sits there and it sticks in your brain when they score.
Well, it was such a fun atmosphere, I'll be honest. Like, it was a great time. Obviously, when the home team scores, everyone gets excited, but they were extra excited, especially when it was Luna. That first goal, it was so loud. I couldn't believe it.
It's like the bouncy house at McDonald's, or Chuck E. Cheese. The back heel that kind of sprung things up the right-hand side in that second goal, that was filthy.
It was. And I addressed that actually. Obviously, I didn't do it in the replay, but about a minute later, we were talking about it. And the reason I addressed it was because, one, technically it was fun. It was filthy, to your point. But what I said was, this is a team that is confident because he had players right on his back. If they lose possession there, Gozo running beyond him actually is a very risky move. Like, he could just support him underneath, keep possession, and go. But he just was a willing runner and trusted that Gila Vogie was going to figure something out, or he was going to clear space for someone else to come underneath. I think that says a lot about how Real Salt Lake is playing in general.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like if you're keying on Luna, that means that Solans is open. If you're keying on those two, that means that Gila Vogie's available. If you're keying on those three, that means that something's there with Xavier Gozo. And it's like, it is literally now with RSL with these young guys, it is pick your poison, because it's okay if positional gravity and reputational gravity create a double team and you're bracketing somebody, that means that somebody else is open. And literally it is trying to figure out, okay, which one do we bracket on a possession by possession basis? And then for the imagination of all these kids, okay, who's open? I'll have a little fun, a little dink here, and then you're off and running. It's like, it's hard to pin down who you can double at any given moment with them, especially in transition.
It certainly is. And a lot of that has to do with the reliability of their holding midfielders, especially Kalaskan, but also Spearings, that all those players above them can interchange. And it's a nightmare for oppositions. They interchange. I mean, in the second half, Gozo was like playing off the central part of the field and going left, and he was still the right wing back. And you're going like, what is happening right now? And so to your point, their structure coupled with their confidence is allowing all that interchange and that movement. This goal was a prime example of that. And I was so happy for Solans. He did so much in that first half. Unselfish runs. I'm not even talking about 30-yard runs, which he had towards the end of the first half, but little darting runs that make a defender move, that clear space for other people. Then he hit the crossbar twice. And those two crossbars, I don't know if he could have handled those situations much better. It felt very unlucky. And then he does everything right in this finishing moment against Miller. And it was just a wonderful goal for him. You could see the relief. I think I even started like my comment about this was like relief for Solans, because he just fell over in his celebration after scoring the goal.
Nasty plunge for Solans after he makes it 2-0. And the cliches out there, I'm not going to repeat it because it's always said. And Sporting and we knew coming into this season that Sporting Kansas City, it was going to be a year of change. It was going to be a year of transition. Sporting director David Lee, he's like, yeah, we're bringing in 12 to 14 people, and it's going to look different out there. And one of the folks that has been a focal point of this offense, you saw him in Los Angeles, and he was, it's like feed it to the bishop, and he'll lock it down. He comes in late, and it's almost like, coming off the bench, he'll knock down the three and get you back into a game. And now he's given a chance to kind of flourish at Sporting, but there's not a whole lot of support for him. And so Dejan Joveljic gets a goal to make it 2-1. Things get interesting, and it was only 4 minutes after it was 2-0 that Joveljic gets credit for the goal. So here's the Joveljic 2-1 goal. Sporting makes it closer.
It's efficient here now from Reynolds, lays it across. Joveljic! A stunner from the Serb! Sporting sniper strikes again. Celebrations all too short-lived. And the visitors are right back in it, 2-1.
In the penalty box, this is quick. It's a turnover in possession. The 2v1 overload wide sends Justin Reynolds here. Good combination play. But watch Joveljic. He knows that he doesn't need to run in because the space isn't in. Once it's occupied in the wide channel, he knows to pull away. He does this at the top of the box. The prep touch for me is wonderful.
There you go. Dejan Joveljic makes it 2-1. And with Sporting, you're focused on getting that goal to make it 2-1. And then for them, they're getting close. What was it like in the 50s and 60s seeing Sporting respond the way that they did to that second goal by RSL?
They made some tactical changes throughout the second half. I thought Raphael Wicki did some really nice changes to just generate a little bit more in the middle third, get some possession. But ultimately, you've got a player like Joveljic, like it is so scary when you have a center forward on the opposite team that does not need to touch the ball that much, and they can still do that. That was not me as a player. The more I touched the ball, the better I felt. I got more swagger going. Like, I needed to feel the ball. So it is mind-blowing for me when I see a center forward, and there's plenty of them that don't need to be super involved. And I even said it before half, this is scary because you've got Joveljic on the other side who can take one opportunity and score. That's exactly what he did here. They weren't coming with opportunities. I will give credit. The combination play was nice in the wide area, but he takes a touch with pressure and absolutely bangs it to the far post and hadn't touched the ball in quite a while. And so I just think it's overly impressive. But Sporting Kansas City, as much as they got into the game, they weren't generating a lot in the attacking third. And that was the part that was very difficult for them.
Yep. And so it's 2-1. And then Sporting once again trying to get the equalizer. And then 23 minutes later, less than 10 to go, it's another one of the meddling kids. If it wasn't for you meddling kids, I would have gotten away with this. Xavier Gozo gets goal number 4 on the day, the third one, and this one puts it to bed. Once again, Apple TV with some familiar voices.
RSL seeking to kill it off. Gozo! Teenager on a tear, and the youth movement is for real. It's RSL 3, SKC 1.
Hits an absolutely pure volley. It's a recycled play. They keep it in. Kalaskan finds Gozo. The first touch looks purposeful. It looks like he almost pops it up. But whether it was on purpose or not, that strike certainly was. And he gets it to that far post. It's an absolute thing of beauty to extend this lead.
So was it purposeful? Did he do that on purpose?
I'm laughing because I'm such a fan of this goal. It's great. I have to say Christian had a great call. The youth movement is for real. I was like, that's an awesome call. So apparently in the post game, he said it was not on purpose, and he was like, oh no, and he had to strike it. The reason I said that, I was like, I doubt it was on purpose, but the way he tilted his foot, you kind of pop it up with the outside of your foot in training all the time to mess around and hit balls. And I'm like, if this was on purpose, this kid is more unreal than I thought he was.
Where does Christian come up with all of these alliterations?
I don't know. He's so creative. I could never do it. I don't have that side of my brain for sure. I'm definitely more like X's and O's, but maybe he practices them. I'm not sure, but he's been around for a while. So
Yeah, and that, well, that's, I mean, but with him and the alliteration and you and the X's and O's, then this is why I like to have you in here on Tuesdays to break down what you saw on the weekend so people can X and O their way through situations. Like if they'll see a highlight or something that's similar, or if they see these athletes out there and they're watching games or whatever, then they know what they're expecting because of what we've been talking about. When you're having the kind of game that Salons has, and it's crossbar, just missed, when you're a coach and you see the kind of day that Salons is having early, and you try to keep them from dropping their shoulders and tucking their chin, how difficult is that to make sure that those young, talented players don't do that? Because obviously, when we're young, hearts on our sleeve and everything, swings of emotion, there's the being even keeled can be very, very rare. How do you bring a younger player back to center? It's like, okay, good, good shot. Everything's cool. Just keep doing what you're doing, because sometimes we can talk and it may not register.
well, let's use Salons as an example. We talked about the X's and O's. So before we get to the mental side of it, his two chances that went off the crossbar. The first one, he's sprinting through the penalty area. There's pace on the ball. There's not much more you can do but just get there. Like you can't sit there and break it down and go get your foot over the ball, things like that, because it was this bang, bang play. Mm-hmm. So to me, I'm going great run. If that ball's on the ground, it's much easier for you. You're in the right space at the right time. Unlucky. I truly believe that about that opportunity. The second opportunity, the fact that he was able to get it in the middle of the penalty box, turn and shoot was unbelievable, and it was due to his movement. He couldn't strike through the ball, which is what keeps it down and keeps it low, because the defenders were so close. So he had to just get it on frame. I think he did everything right. If he's an inch closer, maybe it goes up into the upper part of the net and it's a goal. So what I would do with a player like that that's young and with those particular opportunities is tell him that I was excited about how much chance creation he was giving, not only for himself, but also what he was creating for his teammates by his industrious, by his movement. He was also, in my opinion, pushed in the back for that 1v1 at the end of the first half that Pulse Camp ended up saving. So nines are not going to necessarily hear that. Like they're going to be like, yeah, whatever, I should score every goal I ever shoot, like every opportunity. But it does register. And so you have to be that voice of reason of you're not going to score every goal. But what I love is what you're doing here. And here's why. And just keep them focused on that chance creation. Keep them focused on other people and how they make them better, because they naturally have the ability to score goals, and it'll come.
And with what we're seeing with Pablo Mastroeni, like I said, I know early in the year when you had all the injuries, it was Yedlin, it was Anelli, it was Luna. You had two other players that were injured, and he's having to throw the kids in. And it's just like, yeah, all right, fine. They've thrown in. They've figured that they can handle the heat. No worries here. How dangerous is RSL right now? Because there's going to be that point of the season where as a kid you're going to bonk. You're going to hit that wall, and then you find out about yourself and you push through it. But how dangerous can they be in the West this year?
You just don't want them to hit the wall all at the same time. That's the big part. I think they can be incredibly dangerous. I don't think they're just a contender. I think they're going to make some high-level teams very uncomfortable. For Pablo Mastroeni, I think the fact that he was able to show this, who cares? If you're old or good enough, you're old enough. Like, go, let's do it. And he started the season that way. It might feel from the outside that, well, he had no choice. He had to play the younger players. But the reality is players don't see it that way. Players see it as he believes I can come in here and make a difference. And so when you go in and you have your coach helping you feel like you're good enough, and Pablo's a great personality, and he's intense, and he's about confidence and mentality. I think that really serves as a catalyst for young players to feel like they belong And that's a scary thing if you're opposition when you have young players that feel like they belong early.
Nothing like your head coach, Yolo Mastroeni, so early in the season. So where are you heading this weekend?
I am heading to nowhere. I am home.
Nice.
I am home. I have a bye weekend, so I am here.
Sweet. So you get to kind of kick back and watch everything. All right, so then let's talk NWSL. Since you started your weekend,
Okay.
you left early. You left the house early. Owen's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Nonstop.
Yeah, it's like
Nonstop flights.
nice. See, now that's important too, is to make sure that you're not hanging in an airport someplace. Oh, that reminds me.
I don't get those very often, so I was excited about that.
So then, all right, so checking in, did you have to stay in line long?
No, it was really, really easy in Salt Lake and in Raleigh. Raleigh just doesn't have a lot of nonstop, so it was nice to have that. But Clear is my best friend.
Well, I've got pre-checked myself. I'm right there with you. You go out there early. You watched Utah and crud. Who was it that Utah was playing? Chicago. That's right, because I had Chicago questions. It was a penalty that was ultimately the decider. Utah gets the win 1-0. Chicago, you're kind of wondering what's up with Chicago over the last couple of seasons. So I will ask you, Kacey White, what is up with Chicago?
I don't know if I have a good answer for this.
The big exhale.
Do my best. No, I do think the biggest issue, in my opinion, is the ability to penetrate vertically with multiple players. They've got a Jamise Joseph who is coming into her own. She's still young. And it's not so much just the absence of Mallory Swanson. Like, obviously, that's huge. Like, she changes teams. But I think, just like we were talking about with Real Salt Lake, how they have all these different players that are popping around and that are dangerous and are scoring goals and they're scoring by committee in a lot of ways. For Chicago, I think not having multiple players clicking on all cylinders in the attacking third is tough. What that does is it allows teams to scout and key in on one player, two players, and then that puts more pressure on the midfield. Then the midfield, if they can't control it, it puts more pressure on the back line. And so you're just seeing, I think, that piece that if they're not going to possess, they don't have the ability to go long like they did with Ludmila plus Jamise Joseph. They had two options that were very dangerous going forward last year, which helped them at times.
1-4 in their first 5. Below them right now, racing Louisville, who only has the 1 point in their first 4 matches. Boston Legacy, you understand with an expansion team that it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of get things going. They've only got 1 goal in their first 4. Then things start to pick up. Gotham, 5 points in their first 5. Courage at 5 points. Kansas City, they're at 2-3. Bay is at 2-2, and they're at 6 points. A lot of folks with 6 points literally right now. And then you end up with Washington, Denver, Bay, Kansas City all at 6 points. That gets you to Utah with their win, gets them to 7 points. Pride is at 8. Houston and Angel City both 3-1 in their first 4. Seattle and Portland 3-1 in their first 5. San Diego, with all the investment that they made in the offseason, right now 4-1 in their first 5, 12 points top of the ladder, scored 8. And they have not, they've given up 3, and they've still got folks coming in. This Macario person, I've heard she's okay.
I was just going to say that. That's without Kat Macario.
Yeah, and so when you look at the NWSL right now, top to bottom, and this is just from 30,000 feet, what sticks in your head?
Well, you mentioned San Diego. That one sticks in my head because I really was like flabbergasted last year with them because I thought they were such a lovely team to watch and they created so many chances, but they really couldn't quite figure out the 9 position. They rotated a couple players through there. So the fact that they've had Leah Godfrey step in and score goals, now they've got Kat Macario coming, like they are figuring that out. So that really stands out to me. I also think the win that Washington got was really important for the Spirit on Sunday. They were 2 very bizarre goals. But when you are searching for that win and you are a team that has gotten to the finals the last 2 years and you're struggling at the start of the season to a degree, you don't care. Just let it go in. So what stands out to me overall is when I look at the standings, it's still anybody's game. You know, it's so close, and one win here or there completely changes the look. That's the NWSL. That's how it is every year. And so I think we can't really judge too much on where the standings are.
Yeah,
currently.
I mean, you're 4 or 5 matches in. I didn't know if, when we get to this point of the season, it's like, okay, I noticed this blip here. San Diego, they put the pedal down. Kansas City dealing with injuries. We think they'll come back to the mean, all those kinds of things. Expansion teams being who they are, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, as kind of like a running thing, I do want to get your thoughts on the NWSL as we go. So since you are not going anywhere, and this is the bye week for you, are you going to set your alarm to like not go off on Saturday morning and sleep in till like 7:15 or something?
My alarm is not going off any day this week. I'm going to tell you that right now. I had a crazy 3-week stretch, so I'm working my way back. I'm a little tired, but I'm keeping the energy going. Yes, I am just honestly taking time. My dad's coming in town today, so I get to hang with him. I'm going to a Savannah Bananas game this weekend in Chapel Hill. I've never been to one, so do some fun things like that around here.
As you should. As always, Case, it's great to catch up with you on Tuesdays after your Orange Theory Fitness Madness in the 9 o'clock hour, and then you get to hang out with us at 10 o'clock. Enjoy your off week, and we'll catch up with you again same time next week, and we'll talk things. That's the official term. Good to see you, my friend.
I do have for next week my player predictions for the U.S. women's national team pool. Dell asked last week, so I'll tease that and we'll talk about it next time.